kind of starting at the beginning for you. I think a lot of people probably don't realize that before you were Xena, before you were in, the roles that many people are familiar with you for, you were like doing musicals, like all the way back to like your childhood, and you started out on TV in sketch comedy. So obviously you were experimenting with a lot of different things, but what did you want to do when you first decided that you wanted to be an entertainer? What kind of career did you envision for yourself in the beginning?
I saw, English theatre.
Oh,
That was the dream.
okay. Like
Yeah. And I
just
found myself in action TV. It was uh, nothing I ever saw coming, but I'm very grateful. It's given me a really rather wonderful,
yeah.
probably more wonderful than English theatre would have afforded me. So mustn't grumble, as we say in New Zealand.
Was it so? It was like more dramatic vehicles and roles that you thought you would be living in for your career.
Yeah, no, I thought I'd be doing Shakespeare and Lady Macbeth. So the closest I've come is Lucretia in Spartacus, and that was a really awesome, terrifying, challenging experience. So I'm really happy I got a chance to do that.
All right, cool. So we mentioned Xena, and I wanted to ask you right off the bat, even after all this time, is Xena still the role that you mostly get recognized for more than anything
Yes,
else? Still,
yes, especially around the world.
yeah.
In America, it's much more mixed. I'm much more recognized for Spartacus or whatever, but always underneath it all, it's underpinned by Xena recognition. But around the world, Xena.
Huh. Okay. Um,
Yeah.
Now looking back at Xena and sort of linking it to today's climate, like right now, I feel like we sort of have this movement in sports in different forms of entertainment where women are taking the lead and really being celebrated for it, whether it's like Ronda Rousey in mixed martial arts or different male leads in action movies and action TV shows and things like that. We're seeing a lot of that.
Are we just moving? Maybe we're just moving a little closer to 50%, but I don't think we're at 50%. And maybe it's not that we're particularly favouring them, but it's just the pendulum swinging in that direction.
Oh yeah, but we're seeing some. We're seeing some, which is a lot more than we've seen in eras past. But I mean, do you think that like looking back at Xena, was it kind of ahead of its time in that? Did you think it would get a lot much more attention for that now, being now that it would be part of sort of that movement that people are really conscious of?
No, I think it was. Fortuitous timing. It was just at the dawning of the internet. It was when we still had, syndicated television. It was very limited cable. It was syndicated, but it wasn't the proliferation of channels and ways that you can devour television these days. There wasn't that, so you were much more limited. You could have so much more cut through. If you were put on at 9 p.m. on WPIX in New York for 6 years straight, as we were, you make a massive impression. It's that Andy Warhol grapefruit thing, it's about how many times you keep slugging people over the head with the same image. You can really brand it in people's brains. So I think it's very hard these days to have that kind of cut through. Gotcha. Some people have it,
Yeah.
Some people. Some shows, some people.
So no, it's interesting. You say how like that was a direction, like being in an action show like that you never anticipated. What was What was the like during the time? I mean, I don't even know. Like, what was your shooting schedule? Because it seems like there were times where you were pumping out a lot of shows, a lot of episodes. Like, what was the shooting schedule like, and how crazy was it?
Well, it would be 60 to 70 hours a week every week for 9 months.
Oh.
We'd have breaks here and there, but it would take 9 months for us to do 22. First season was 24 episodes, and it was 22 thereafter. And I used to be so bewildered. How come Jennifer Aniston's all over every magazine, all these photo shoots? It's because they only shoot like 2 days a week, and we slogged it out. It was super physical, and it was all day, every day on set, and there was no time for anything else, really.
Was it as far as the physical aspect of it? Was there a lot of training and stunt work and preparation for scenes of that nature as well?
Oh, yeah, because I sucked for a couple of years. I was just black and blue the whole time, and then you just get popped in the face a few times, and you get fast, you get good.
Is
It's
it?
the only way to end the pain. You know, you have to get good at it so you do it right the first time.
I was going to ask if it's something you grew to enjoy because it seems like you could only really.
Never.
Oh, never.
Everybody was like, when we did Spartacus, and I'm the second lady upstairs, and people say, "Oh, do you really miss the fighting?" And I'd stand on that balcony and just go, "You poor slobs down." You know, you just you're just slogging it out in the dust and the filth, and I'm sitting up here eating Turkish delight and loving it.
That's awesome. So it's interesting because I did, just doing more research, I did find out that you had started out in sketch comedy and, or at least on television you did early in your career.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of people saw a different side of you, or they thought they did, when you were on Parks and Rec for a few years, recurring. So, I mean, was that a different sort of thing for you, even considering the background that people didn't know you had?
Oh, yeah, well, no, I mean, American comedy, even though I love it, especially Parks and Rec, it's my, all-time favorites, is so foreign to me. I still just don't really know how to do it. But I'm really more of an observer. But the kind of sketch comedy we were doing was pretty primitive stuff back, I just turned 20. Yeah, that's...
Okay.
I'm sorry, someone's talking to me. Say that again. What?
Oh,
Where were you going?
I was I thought you were, no, it's okay. I mean, just talking,
Yeah. Yeah, I would sure love to be able to nail that one time in my life, but I'm so busy having a good time with whatever project. Like, whatever project I'm doing is my new favorite thing. I think I'm like the goldfish going around the bowl going, "Oh my God, look at that beautiful rock. Oh, there's a castle. Oh my God, look at that beautiful rock. Oh my God, look at the castle. I can't believe it." Like, that's how my simple and brain works. Everything I'm doing is like my new favorite thing.
That's good though. That's good.
Yeah.
Short-term memory.
Yeah.
So when you did when you did start appearing on Parks and Rec, how did you look at it at that point? Was it was it intimidating?
I think no. I think looking back, a little bit too respectful. I mean, you're screwed in comedy if you're not relaxed, and if you're even though, I mean, you just admire them so much, and they're so bloody good, and they're so kind, and it's hard to walk into that when you're coming off Spartacus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Completely different animal.
Right.
Yeah.
Just
want to make someone bleed, and that ain't funny.
No, but
my favorite episode, I keep remembering and just laughing, one where Andy is giving Ron Swanson a shoe shine. Do you remember that one?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, it's the funniest episode of all time. My sons are huge fans, so they've watched it, even though it's a family show, but sometimes it's quite adult,
Right.
But you can't stop kids.
Was it challenging at all? Because, the crux of your being on the show was, of course, developing sort of that 50-50 chemistry with Nick Offerman, and just sort of being like that counterpoint to him that nobody else at that point was able to be, except for like crazy people. Like, nobody else could be anything but intimidated by the guy until your character, who is actually
that's
normal.
An interesting idea. Oh, I never even thought of that. What an interesting idea.
That's kind of how I took the whole thing, is the idea of, well, here's someone who, she kind of plays the straight man, but she has the strength Like you could just there was an inner sort of confidence and believability there where you could say, okay, she is the perfect counterpoint to him, which had, it,
That great man witch of a man.
exactly.
Yeah, well, that's an incredible compliment. Thank you so much. I never saw it that way.
Oh, no problem.
I felt quite overawed by the whole experience, to be honest. Just because I just worship them, all of them. They're really good people.
Well, let me ask you about something else that was a cast that you joined and left in record time, and I think you created more buzz for a one-shot appearance than, or actually, I guess it was a two-shot than anything I've ever seen before. When you were on Agents of Shield, because I remember, I mean, I'm personally a big fan of the show, and I remember just sort of like the internet going crazy, finding out ahead of time that you were going to be appearing on that season premiere, only to find out it was a well-kept secret that you were not making it past the season premiere. Was that... I mean, was that something that was discussed when you were coming on the show? Because someone had to realize people are going to buy this. We bring this huge name.
But I think they relished that. Ahead of time. No, I knew. And I probably... No, that was good. It was like I was just visiting. It was kind of a little thing for the fans, because for my Comic Con fans,
right?
That I knew that they would love that, and it was just a little like I'm in LA for a week. This has come up. Why the hell not? It was one of those situations, and I certainly didn't intend to deceive anybody, but it just kind of played out as a bit of a trick, didn't it?
It sure did. Yeah, people are like, oh, she's going to be an awesome addition to the show. Nope.
Yeah. I stayed in good touch with Ming Na, though. She's such one of those excellent women in Hollywood. I kind of collect them.
Uh-huh.
And she's a good one. She's a first-class woman.
Cool. So I wanted, before we get into Ash versus Evil Dead, I just wanted to ask you, a lot of people also probably don't realize the fact that you've had a full-fledged music career over the years, performing on Broadway.
Not fully fledged.
Well, it's somewhat fledged.
I'm a bit of a dilettante. I just do it because it's an extension of being a performer, as you said before. And sometimes it's part of acting. It's just part of... And for me, it's about eating life and doing things that are scary and waiting for me.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what it's been about, really.
Okay, cool. I mean, I
get together with Joe LaDuca. Joe LaDuca was the composer on Evil Dead, on the original Evil Deads, and on Xena and Hercules and every show we've ever done, basically. And currently on Ash vs. Evil Dead. And he and I love to put together little shows in interesting parts of the world. So we're trying to get something going in Europe at the moment.
Oh.
We're talking about it. Yeah.
Nice. A full-fledged world tour, perhaps.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
It's
but
somewhat
selfishly, we just do it for just because it's the funnest thing you can do.
Is it something...
Putting on a music show for fans.
Is it something that you'd want to incorporate again in, like, your TV roles or anything like that? I mean...
Evidently not. I don't even think like that, really. I'm not... A role comes to you and it's its own world. It has its own rules, and you can't start bending it because something is titillating to you. You just have to stay in that world. So, like the day they do Agents of Shield, the musical, it's over.
Well, you know what? They did a sequence on Agent Carter that was a musical, so you never know.
How long did that last?
That was, I believe, what ended up being the series finales.
There you go.
Maybe it was a kiss.
That's a season 6, buddy. So that's when you are tapped out. You do things like that.
Okay, so let me ask about Ash versus Evil Dead. We should do that. So were you, I mean, you already touched upon it, but were you a fan of the movies before you began this journey as part of this TV show?
I was disgusted by the first Evil Dead. I saw it on a video when I was 17. maybe 16, and I went off in a huge fit of pique. I was so disgusted by the tree rape scene, and I thought everybody who made it should be in jail. And it wasn't until I met Rob that I actually went and saw Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, which remain, Evil Dead 2 was my all-time favorite.
Uh-huh. Okay. Cool.
So I love that our show, now the current show, Actually This is Evil Dead, is very much in that style. But that could change and become a little more Army of Darkness as we go along. It'll just keep evolving,
Mm-hmm.
but still within the Evil Dead world.
Gotcha. Sure. So from your perspective, I mean, from the outsider's perspective, you watch a show like this and you think to yourself, like, my God, these people seem like beyond all the, like, insanity. This has to be, like, the most fun thing to make ever. I mean, what's the vibe like on set for you? Is everyone really enjoying and getting into creating this thing?
The only time that it's so technical and it's such a crushing schedule, and the demands of this season, the episodes were so huge.
Mm-hmm.
The times that I really laughed, Dana De Lorenzo just cracks me up, but the time I really laugh is when I'm standing watching the monitor when a stunt comes off brilliantly, like, I don't know, I love to see Bruce being tortured, so when he's acting as if he's being consumed by something, disgusting bug or something, I laugh, I howl with laughter at the monitor. But other than that, it's pretty serious work.
Okay.
Yeah. Serious is the wrong word, but we are cranking.
It's all,
we are
yeah.
cranking. It's all hands on deck all the time, and nobody fools around because there's no room.
Gotcha.
For dicking around, yeah.
Do you feel like
you'd think it would be more fun, but the result is fun, but you have to work really hard to give the fans that result.
Gotcha.
We go like a freight train.
Okay. When you compare this show to other shows that you've been a part of, do you feel like any sense of freedom in being a part of something that there's a lot less censorship and restrictions to be on a cable show than, say, what Xena was and other things you've been a part of? Is it kind of cool to be able to do these outlandish, like, these things that just wouldn't be allowed?
That's a Stars thing. I'm going to say, I've got to give the nod to Stars there, because on Spartacus, it was very hard to find the line which we could not cross.
Uh-huh.
And we had to find, how far can we push this? And we had one of our producers manage to find the line, the one place that would make Stars go eek. But it was beyond the pale. It was honestly beyond the pale. Otherwise, Stars is incredibly courageous and open-minded.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah. And supportive. Yeah.
Good. So I know it's kind of a fine line to walk, but is there anything that you can tell us about? Because one of these outlets will be out pretty quickly. So for for that one, like before the season airs, like, what is there anything you can mention? Any specific type of craziness or scenes or anything that we can expect to see in the upcoming season without obviously?
Ed, played by the estimable Lee Majors, his character, Ash's dad, has a bit of a thing for Ruby, and he reveals a weird little fetish. So keep listening out. It's kind of hilarious. And Ash's dad, they compete for women, and it's just obscene and horrible and hilarious.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. A few more quick questions. So I just wanted to ask you, as someone who's been part of these sci-fi Comic Con type, the types of shows that kind of appeal to a similar fan base over the years.
Sorry. Okay, hang on. Just back to the other question.
Yeah.
I want to say that Ray Santiago
Uh-huh.
bites the big one this season. he worked harder than anybody else. He gets whatever ghastly ideas the writers can come up with, somehow Ray gets the worst. And he, grace is not the right word, but forbearance, because he's...
Forward to. Okay.
Yeah, Ray really buys it this season. Anyway, okay, as
Cool.
somebody who's in this genre world, yeah.
No, what I wanted to ask is, you've kind of been like playing to kind of the same fans in a way for many years, just from one show to another. But the fan base that follows that kind of show has totally changed. The whole idea of, being nerdy and all that stuff, and now it's kind of like a totally different type of fan that's into this stuff. How has the experience changed for you, like going to Comic Cons and things like that? Like, have you felt that change in the culture of the fan base?
Yes. There's a lot more women. Like, it's much more 50-50 in gaming and cosplay. Like, when you go to Comic Con now than there used to be.
Okay.
And the types, if you can say that types of people are much more, it's much more universal, it's much more popular for all kinds of people, so you're right, I guess the nerds are running the show now. They're like running the world.
Well, it's just like like we always planned. We've been working on this.
They've left a vacuum that sucks up all the normal Joes who are now involved.
Uh-huh.
And for me personally, I have far more male fans than I used to have.
Huh, that's interesting.
Also, my fan base has swung back the other way.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Along those same lines, I just wanted to ask you about social media and how that affects you, because you're involved in shows. You've always been involved in shows that have these passionate fan bases. They love to talk about the shows. Do you like, Xena didn't have social media, but do you like...
Well, we didn't have social media, but the fans that we had then were incredibly internet literate. They were the first, and they were really hooked up. That's what made it go.
Yeah.
The burgeoning internet, yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry, what was the question?
No, do you embrace sort of the sort of that evolution into this, the idea of constant social media conversation about certainly Ash versus Evil Dead and pretty much every project that you're involved in? Is that something you get involved in and you like?
Yeah, I'm a bit lazy about it. It's only if I've got nothing else to do. I try to have flesh buddies and not just virtual friends. But I do, like when I'm doing this publicity things, it's much easier to stay in touch. I tend not to have conversations about the shows I'm working on because they're not real to me.
Right.
They're realer to the fans who see them as a finished product, and to me it's just a physical experience I have with my friends, and that's kind of a private word. It's very hard to talk about that, because it's just your daily life. You don't know what's mark-worthy about it. Why would you mention anything? But yeah, I do sort of stay in touch with the fans. I try to anyway.
Cool. Last question
that's
for
why
you.
You go to conventions, that's where you really meet the fans.
Yeah.
Convention. Yeah.
I hear you. So, we've talked about a lot of different things you've done, and you've talked about how you kind of jump from project to project and focus just on that. You've done music, you've done comedy, you've done drama, you've done action. What's something that you want to do either next or at some point in your career that you have yet to even attempt?
I want to keep making groundbreaking television or playing groundbreaking roles.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that I'm only on network for short periods of time. I'm made for pretty stern stuff, and that's what interests me, is pushing the envelope as far as you can. And if I thought I knew where I or my character or my work was going to be in 5 years' time, I'd bloody kill myself.
Wow, there's a headline for you.
Yeah, no, life's an adventure. Otherwise nothing scares me worse than being locked into something rigid.
Yeah.
Not into that.